You know I'm right. Ooh. On Food, the podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in entrepreneurship, entertainment, sports, and so much more. And I said on Food at the beginning because we are here talking food. We are in a restaurant. Joe, we're here today at Goodfella's, which was established in 1992, which was a great year, wasn't it, Joe?
It's a great year. The year that we were born. And we very, very happy to be doing another live show here from Goodfellas. And we welcome the owner, Scott, here to the show with us. This is your first time doing this right here with the camera set up and everything?
Yeah, first podcast. Love
Scott,
it, man.
How
really
you doing
cool.
today?
I'm doing great. You guys doing well?
Yeah, you ready to rock?
Yeah, I'm ready to rock. Good to see you, fellas.
Yeah,
ready for a great podcast?
There's a lot to talk about with you in your life, of course.
Absolutely.
You are a very busy guy. You got the restaurant here 7 days a week. You got 2 other businesses. You got amazing social media. So when you wake up in the morning, maybe you don't wake up. I don't think you sleep. What's the first app you're checking on your phone?
Oh, man. I don't know. I'm usually going right to the 10,000 emails that we get, and all the requests.
I'm surprised more people don't give that the answer. I would say email or text. That would be my answer if I had a business.
I try to do one at a time because otherwise you're sitting there, it gets overwhelming. The social media, all the people sending you messages. There's just a lot of stuff that goes on. And, this style of life is very interesting. I mean, the restaurant business alone, and plus all that other stuff, it's like, wham,
but it keeps you young.
Keeps you young, man. Doing this for 30-something years. And
30 more to go.
30 more to go.
Well, first things first, you look great.
Thank you.
The first time we came in here, Nick and I kind of touched on how difficult the restaurant business is, especially on Staten Island, especially when it comes to Italian restaurants and pizzerias and stuff. But again, you mentioned you've been in the business for 30 years. So let's walk through how you grew up and let's walk about your career leading up to when you started owning this place.
Okay, cool. I was always a self-employed kind of a guy throughout my life, whether it was construction business and other businesses. And I always wanted to do something that was involved my family, So I'm originally from Brooklyn, and my brother was out here on Staten Island. And at the time, I guess in the late 80s and early 90s.
That's how everybody made the move.
Yeah, everybody made the move. So all the Italians went over to Staten Island, and we were talking about doing a business. And I said, well, what kind of business can we do, that we can afford, make happen? And I said, I always loved pizza, and brick oven pizza was just like beginning to be a trend. And it really wasn't popular because there was no brick ovens on Staten Island. So if you can believe that, people think, it's been around forever. No. I used to go to Patsy's, famous place, Tones and Coney Island.
That's right.
And we'd socialize, have pizza, and we'd talk about our business, what we were going to do.
Right.
So, one day we're eating pizza saying, oh, man.
This is it.
Yeah, we should do a brick oven joint. There's lots of Italians on Staten Island, we'll be really good at it, and not knowing anything about pizza or brick ovens, but growing up eating good food, you figured, how hard can it be, Make a pizza.
How hard was it? No food background, and you're launching a restaurant,
oh my God.
Brick and mortar. What was all that? What was it like in the beginning?
Oh, my God. It was unbelievable. We had a 900-square-foot place that we originally on Highland Boulevard near Seaview Avenue. And we renovated this small little place. We said, all right, we'll make this into a restaurant. How hard can it be, right? Called a friend up who was a mason and an oven guy. And I said, we'll build a brick oven on Staten Island, the first one. So no idea what we're doing. So we build this big, beautiful oven. And I remember even going to the building department with our plans and architect. They're like, what is this? I go, well, it's sort of like a fireplace, So they give us this permit to build this monstrosity 8-foot wood-fired oven. And we renovate the nice little store. We got red and white check tablecloths. We got bent wood chairs, nice little candles.
That's the core.
Yeah, it was sort of cool, Yeah. And now, not knowing nothing about a restaurant or ever being inside a restaurant, kitchen or anything, I didn't even know what a walk-in cooler was, like the refrigeration system.
Right.
No idea. Had a little refrigerator, had a little mixer, built this big oven, went to the library because there was no internet, there was nobody to teach you anything, bought a book on how to make dough. I said, all right, We'll figure this out.
You didn't even know how to make pizza dough, huh?
Yeah, I mean, nothing, you know? It was unbelievable. So we sat there, read our book, made some dough, and I said, all right, this is a little bit more challenging than I can imagine, you know? How long does it rise? What happens? You know, you're trying to figure it out. And I said, all right, well, let's get some good ingredients. Where do you get the ingredients? We had no idea. We didn't know what a food vendor was. You know what I mean? So I'm going over to Brooklyn, and I'm buying food like fresh mozzarella from Leone.
It's another thing, too. People don't realize what goes into the supply and the distribution and everything behind the scenes of running the business, right?
Yeah, it was like, you know, a little bit of a challenge. And back then, things were not as available as they are today.
Right.
You know, today it's different. You know, it's national, and it's really all over the place.
You want an order, it comes on demand right to the
Yeah, anything you need. It's crazy. Another world. So it was really funny. And I would go to this vendor in Brooklyn. You know, he had an Italian salamari store, you know. And I'm buying all this stuff, cases of tomatoes, tons of olive oil. A nice Italian guy. And one day he comes over to me and he goes, hey, what do you do? I says, what do you mean? I said, I'm buying food. He says, you have a restaurant? You buy a lot of food. I says, yeah. He says, why do you buy from me? I said, I don't know. I said, where do you buy it from? You're a store. You got good food. You know, it's just Brooklyn. I figured, you know, you got the best, you know. And he just starts laughing. He says, oh, my God, you need a vendor. I go, what's a vendor? You know, with the A. He says, a vendor, someone to give you the food. He says, you call this guy. You don't come here no more, and I'm going to do you a big favor.
All right, got it.
So I said, okay, no problem. I'll figure it out, you know. So we got a vendor. Lo and behold, you know, we got the oven built. We got our ingredients, and we're lighting the oven, which is really funny. We didn't even know how to light this oven. You know, it was just wood, fire, smoke. Day one, day two, next thing you know, we lighten it up, and the smoke is just everywhere. The fire department showing up. You know, I mean, the whole block is full of smoke. I'm like, oh, my God, what are we doing? You know? So, all right, so we get that under control. You know, 2 days later, same thing. Fire department's there again. I'm like, guys, I don't know. It's a new oven. The guy said we have to burn out the smoke and the steam, and it takes time. Break it in. So after a couple of weeks, you know, it broke in good, and we were making dough and off to the races and, you know, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, what was it like really creating that early menu? I'm assuming it was just mostly pizza, and now it's a very expansive menu.
Yeah, it's expansive. Well, we started out with some pizza. We figured we'd make some fresh mozzarella pies, and that's what we did. We didn't sell any slices because every place sold slices at the time. We just sold fresh mozzarella pies. We developed a nice little menu, a couple appetizers, and we, you know, wanted to keep it nice and simple. Not knowing much about the business, not knowing about food costs. Whatever. Here's the price. You know what I mean?
Right.
I remember selling appetizers when we figured out how to be in business. That cost us $9, and we're selling them for $7. You know what I mean? I was like,
those were the good old days.
Yeah, it was a good business model. You know, it's like, all right, whatever. We're
it ain't like that anymore.
No, we're out the door, but we don't make any money. You know, and after a month or two, we figured out how to make the great pizza. We would go to a local bar and hand out pies. Try them, everybody come. And after a while, they're like, please, no more pizza every day. I was like, you got it. And we opened the door. And it just went crazy. You know what I mean? It was like beyond our expectations at the time. We had so much business, like right off the jump, that we just couldn't even think with it. You know, it was just... You know, and in the beginning, we were doing almost 600-700 pies.
Wow.
Within a week, 800 pies. I mean, sorry, a day, not within a week, a day.
Damn.
You know, we had 3-hour waits to get in. It was just like, it was an insane asylum.
It's a good thing you found the vendor.
Thank God, you know. Good thing for the vendor. He was probably very happy, you know.
So every business comes down to the name.
Oh, my God.
Basically, what's the saying? A business without a sign is a sign of no business.
Yeah.
So you got to put the sign outside. So how did you come up with the name Goodfellas? Was it inspired by the movie, which came out at the same time?
Very interesting. You know, I did not want a place that would be like, you know, one of those places.
Yeah, one of the joints.
Yeah, I didn't want that. And we studied marketing. So we knew how to do surveys. Mm-hmm. We would actually survey people with certain names and ask them what they felt about it, what they thought when we said it, and note all their
Yep.
opinions and responses. And my brother had Goodfellas on the name, on the list with a bunch of other ones. And I was like, dude, we're not going to name this place Goodfellas, especially in Staten Island. You know,
What did you want to name the place originally?
I don't know. We had like different names at the time. I don't remember, Mott Street Pizza, different kind of, New York connotation places.
Right.
Sure.
Our last name. We had a whole bunch of them. And 95%, hands down, and mostly with women, believe it or not, they were ecstatic about the name Goodfellas. I was like, all right, marketing survey says Goodfellas. So at the time, we got the domain, goodfellas.com, which I didn't even know what the internet was. I was like, well, who's going to go on this?
We're still in the early stages of the internet, in the early 90s.
Yeah, I was like, who's going to go on this dial-up thing and look for pizza? I was like,
yeah,
we'll do that. You know what I mean? So we also got registered trademark. We own that. And, we had a little fight with the Italian American Association to trademark the name. I don't know, they didn't want it because it was disparaging. I was like, whatever, So, we understand that. But we opened the place, and we were really fortunate because, we were very community-orientated.
Mm-hmm.
So when you came in, it was super friendly. What can we do for people? Family atmosphere, local politicians.
Right. Was a lot of your early business, was a lot of it word of mouth, or were you putting ads in papers and stuff?
Man, it was really word of mouth, but we were very good at public relations. So everything we did, we went out and did things for the community. We did, different kind of press releases.
Yeah.
And we just got blown up like just crazy. It was all over the papers, all over everything. But when we did our own surveys, it was all like, how'd you hear about us? Word of mouth, word of mouth, word of mouth. It was funny. One day, Regis Philbin came in.
Wow,
and,
Regis, the legend.
So he tells us a story. He comes in, he goes, I come to Staten Island.
That's a good impression.
And I ask a guy, I said, who's got the best pizza out here, right? So he sees an Italian guy, older Italian guy, and he asks him, he goes, everybody knows it's Goodfellas, right? So Regis goes, oh, you go there often? He goes, no, I've never been there, but everybody knows. So he came in, had some pizza, and, did a little shoot, and it was really cool. We still have his picture up, and it was really nice at the time, So,
what other celebrities have been here? Not politicians.
We'll get to that
I don't
later.
know. A lot of celebrities. Let me just try to think. I'm not much good on Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito? Okay.
I know him. I mean, we had Miss America here.
Oh.
We catered for John Travolta, Tom
Very
Cruise
nice.
in Manhattan, and Penelope Cruz. So I don't have a whole list of them, but we had a lot of people coming
Good
through
amount.
the years.
Yeah, it's a good amount of
cool.
A-listers off the top of your head.
Yeah,
Now you got us here.
There you
That's
go.
right.
Now,
Very soon.
Now we're over the top.
Now
You know
we're
what I mean?
rocking.
So, Scott, you mentioned Regis, but the early portion of the history of Goodfellas was in the Seaview location. And
That's
now,
correct.
where we are currently recording this episode, we're a little closer to me. We're in Great Hills, right?
Yeah.
So talk about being at that location for years and what sparked, was it anything external, resulting to change moving down Highland Boulevard to here?
Well, we were there for many, many years. We never really owned the building, which is not a really good business model. You know what I mean? There's never an exit strategy. Then you have landlords who think you're mining gold, and they decide to say, hey, your rent is up, up.
The rent is too damn high here in New York.
And during the COVID, it was the same thing. We had, our landlord who just kept raising our rent, and I was like, it's COVID.
Nobody's here. All right.
There's nobody here. What am I paying for, And so we just made a decision, and somebody offered us this building, and they said, oh, we have a good opportunity for you. And I was like, well, this is COVID, and how's this going to work out? You know what I'm saying? The bank's like, you got to open a restaurant? What are you, crazy? You know what I mean?
No indoor dining.
Yeah, I was like, well, we went to, I guess like I mentioned, the bank, Empire Bank, very friendly, really great people. And they helped us out with the, with the whole process. So I was just like, that's pretty, it was pretty cool. So we bought a beautiful building, and we renovated to how we like.
Yeah, how long did the construction take?
Oh, man, the construction, because it was during COVID, took about a year.
Okay.
Everything was delayed, and the costs were just astronomical, like materials you couldn't get, and you had to wait for this and wait for that.
Nothing was coming in off the boats.
Yeah, and it was very stressful. I was like, oh, my God, what do we get into here? So, but, you look for your dream. You want something that it's going to be yours forever, create a legacy, and that's what we did. We built something that I felt was going to be timeless. It was going to be great, and the economy is going to boom. It's going to be the end of COVID, but that really didn't happen. It's another world, but still.
Another world, but it's recovering.
It's recovering. You know what I mean? We're getting there. You know what I'm saying?
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Have the indoor. We're in the dining room right now. You have the bar area. You have it upstairs, and you have outside in the back too.
Yeah, we have outside dining. We do little parties and make your own pizza parties. Weekends rock. We do a lot of takeout, delivery, catering. It's just still a really friendly family, kind of atmosphere. And I really love the place, and people are very impressed with the look and feel.
All right, and talk family atmosphere. A lot of families have special occasions here as well, right? You can rent out the room for
parties. Yeah, people do parties. They have small private parties upstairs. There's always birthdays. There's like a lot of birthdays constantly. Almost
birthday.
Every night it's there's
365 days a year there's somebody's birthday.
Yeah, so that's always cool. And what the heck? It's pizza and pasta. It's not going to hit you over the head. And it's just a nice experience, and I think people really enjoy the environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome stuff. Now, it's been about 20 minutes. We haven't mentioned this yet. I'm surprised, but how did you create the Vodka Pie?
Oh man, I we had a little bit of vodka pasta. We had vodka pasta on our menu. So one night I was sitting in the back, and we made some vodka pasta, and we had some extra sauce. I said, this would probably make a great pizza. I was like, we're about a year into the business, and I started making different kind of pizzas, which were not your norm. Prior to this, it was like pepperoni, sausage, meat. That's what people did.
Typical Italian.
Yeah, typical what it was. Yeah, that's it. So I said, let me just get into this gourmet kind of a groove.
With specialty pies.
Yeah, so I made a vodka pie, and I was like, wow, this is really, really good. And it was interesting because people say, oh, vodka pizza. Yeah, it's everywhere now. It's all over the country.
Yeah.
If we made that pizza, we started handing it out like samples. People like, vodka pizza, what's this?
Right.
And people loved it, And the next thing you know, it was like this craze. And then we went over to Jacob Javits Center. There was a national pizza contest at the Jacob Javits Center, and we got voted best pizza in the country there. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And I swear, and at the time, a year into business, I'm still stuffing, how to open a pizza because no one ever really taught me. When you're self-taught, everything is like, I think this is right. Cooking in the wood, and it was a real crazy experience. Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 5, everybody there. It was like,
So when you go to that Javits Center thing, how'd you transport the pizza to keep it fresh?
Oh yeah, they had ovens there.
Okay.
They had, all kind of stuff there. So we made everything there.
Made everything fresh, huh?
Yeah.
How about that?
It was freaking cool.
They set you up.
They never seen anything like it. Even the judge was like, wow, that's unbelievable. I was like, yeah, it's vodka pizza, fresh mutts, peas, prosciutto. It was just an interesting. Time in the pizza industry because that gourmet segment just began to take off.
Yeah.
Thanks to you. And we might be having
a lot of guys.
One of your great employees, Dominique, might be bringing out a pie soon for us to take a look at.
Yeah, where is that Dominique with our pizza?
Would you say the Vodka Pie is the most ordered pie?
Yeah, that's one of, actually, believe it or not, a plain fresh mozzarella pie is still the most popular.
I believe that.
And the vodka pie is the most popular of the gourmets.
The gourmets, okay.
'Cause we made a lot of different gourmet pies through the years. With smoking Goodfellas, arugula biancas, seafood pies, all kind of clam pies, all kind of cool creations.
Yeah, I know Joe, he's well known for his famous vodka sauce. So he apparently makes a great vodka pie. Never had it.
I do make a very good vodka pie. My friends can testify
I don't think it's going to be even close to yours, though.
We're going to get him up there.
Joe, get behind the
counter. Let's get this out of the way here, all right?
Flour on.
Joe's going to be at the next International Pizza Expo in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Man, I know how to do it.
Yep. That's freaking cool.
So, September 11th, 2001,
man.
One of the worst times here. And
horrible.
When it comes to presence, when it comes to the police department, fire department, the first responders, a lot of those city workers come from Staten Island.
Terrible.
Right? And Staten Island on 9/11 was hit very, very hard.
Extremely, man. Horrible day.
but thankfully there were businesses, including Goodfellas, that helped during that time period.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody came together. That was like, it was so interesting and sad, but, that people just came together like wham. You know what I mean? Everybody was one. We were all together. Just a side note, I just remember, like just walking around, and you can walk in front of a car and everyone be like, oh.
Go ahead. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like everyone was so in tune with each other on our mission to survive as a nation. It was incredible and unfortunate that tragedy has to bring that out of people. But, it was a very, stressful events. And I remember I got a call from the governor's office that the next morning as well. And he said, hey, can you help us out? We have 500 responders going to be staging up the block. And, we need to feed them right away. So I was like, yeah, please. Let us do something. You know what I mean? Like, so we just went out and we just started getting busy. It was hard even to couldn't cross the bridges. They were all closed. We got there. My brother was on the job, and we went over to our vendors, grabbed a whole bunch of food and supplies, and we just started cooking and making meals. And, throughout that whole week, we made like 7,000 meals, and we were just bringing them down to the ferry, feeding the boys, and, just doing anything that we could to make something, to be causative over it. You know what I mean? Like when a tragedy strikes, the worst thing you can do is nothing. Right. So, if you can do something, you really feel better about being able to do that. You know what I mean? And that's sort of, what we did, Want me to go yell at Dominic here and get
Nah, she good.
Right,
as long
cool.
as we get our pizza.
Yeah.
Hopefully before the show ends.
Hey, Dominic!
We'll get the famous Dominique on camera soon.
She's going to be really excited about
All
that.
good.
She's looking for brand deals. She told us.
We're going to get a pizza, all right?
Let's quickly just touch on
cut that out.
some other different charity and charitable works that Goodfellas has been a part of through the years.
Let me think now. I mean, we always did things for charity. We, we used to do the AIDS Foundation. We used to support muscular dystrophy, raise thousands of dollars. Even September 11th, we even went to Washington, D.C., and we catered on the presidential yacht.
Wow.
And we helped raise a few $1 million there at that time. We went to, Congress, boom. We did all kind of charity events. We always donated to all the local charities. It was really important to be part of your community. I believe that, we all have a responsibility to take that responsibility for each other. And I think that creates a longevity in your business because people remember. It was even on Hurricane Sandy. We brought in a group of volunteer ministers and other people. We brought out over 9 tractor trailers worth of supplies into our backyard, and we handed out food to, like, everybody. It was just something to do. It was a tragedy right in our neighborhood. Yep. It was sad as can be. And I said, look, we got to do something. So we went out and we did that, And I thought that was just, it was a real sense of urgency. Because, again, when things strike you and you let it take your soul and, you take it all in and you can't do anything, you feel more of a victim,
Right.
So we went out and we did that, and that was really cool. And we helped renovate 140 homes, out. With the crew, and we fed our crew, and we fed the people, and we did what we had to do. It's always good to help.
Of course,
it's a good feeling. You know what I mean? You might not have any business, you might not have any money, but at least to helping somebody.
Food brings everybody together.
Yeah,
people get happy to go out and have a nice meal, or go out to celebrate an occasion, and people have their favorites, the things they like to go out for and eat, especially at Silent, a lot of Italian. For you personally here, what are some of your favorite food items that you want to eat on the menu?
Oh, my God. I mean, I love pizza. I honestly, people always say, hey, what's your favorite pizza? I said, I have to say my own because,
of course,
I just love what I make. I love what I do,
Yeah.
I do like some of our pasta, too. Pizza and pasta is just
basics.
We make it all homemade. So to me, I have this nice 4-cheese baked rigatoni.
Oh, sounds great.
Like, baked cheese is a good dish, but when you do it with 4 cheeses and you do it in the
So name the 4 cheeses, Joe.
Oh, man. Come on, Joe. What do we got? Some pecorino, some Asiago, some mozzarella, some Parmesan.
There we go. So it's the 4 cheeses.
Yeah, that rocks. So I love that. And, appetizer-wise. I mean, there's so many good things.
Can't go wrong.
Stuffed long hots, really good. Hot and spicy. All right?
That's the way I like them.
Yeah, baby.
Right.
So, Scott, talk to everybody out there about your happy hour specials you have here, and also the other specials you have for takeout.
Oh, yeah, we always do. I think we have one of the best happy hours on Staten Island, for value-wise. People are looking to, save some money and have a nice time. We do a happy hour Monday through Friday, from lunch to 6 o'clock. We do 2-for-1 drinks, anything we got. We do half-price appetizers, $10 bar pies. So, you come in, a couple of guys, you spend $20-$30, and you got it all. You know what I mean? And it's a beautiful bar. It's a nice place, and some days it gets really packed for happy hour. And it's interesting, they don't have to sit inside and say, you can still have happy hour inside. It's all good. You know what I mean? You got to take care of everybody.
So that's nice. Yeah. And how about some of the takeout specials?
We always do takeout specials. We have like family deals, large pies, sodas, salads, pastas. During the week, we do a Wednesday, buy one, get one pasta dinner for people.
Oh,
we pump that out, and we do a Tuesday one, too. We put out all kind of offers. So we're always doing something good just to, get people out, get people, into that pizza groove.
Yes.
It's
never a bad time for pizza.
No, it's never a bad
pizza
time.
any day.
No, it's a good time.
I could eat every meal if I could.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love pizza. I've been eating it for, my whole life.
My whole life.
Probably 6 days a week.
So what do you think, Scott? Is there you've been all over the country with your business, your businesses. We'll talk more about that. But is it really about the water here in New York? Does it make a difference?
Honestly, people can debate that all they want. I run a international pizza school. People come literally from all over the world to learn how to make pizza.
Yeah.
And I think it's more of a matter of you don't know how to make great pizza, which prevents you from making great pizza. So I got students from, China, New Zealand, Jordan, Pakistan, and every state in the country.
We're talking the other side of the world.
Yes.
They all come to you and your school
to
learn how to make pizza properly.
Yeah, it's the wildest thing, like where some of these places I never even heard of. Micronesia. I'm like, where are you from? I'm like, okay.
Micronesia sounds you went to Tottenville High School. We just had 3 great guys here yesterday. They finished up for the week from Michigan, Detroit, Motor City.
Oh.
And we got great guys in Florida and great guys everywhere. And it's then when you go there and you try their pizza, it's phenomenal. So
are they deep dish guys or are they traditional?
They're traditional. They what it is. They have a captive market. Because, just think of it this way. I have guys who open up in Texas, small town, blah, blah, blah. I go, how you doing? Oh, we're doing 800 pies a day. I'm like, 800 pies a day? I said, why are you so successful? Well, you taught me how to make great pizza. And I'm like, well, that's part of it. Yeah. But, I said, what's your competition like? What's going? He goes, we have no competition. There's no brick oven. I said, it's like Staten Island 30 years ago when I did 800 pies a day. He's like, we have no competition. We're the only ones.
They have excellent barbecue down there. Not too many excellent pizza places. And if you open up a good one, again, with your tutelage.
Yeah, right? and these guys rock. It's like this craziest stories. I got guys who call me up and they'll open up. You got to come help us, please. The lines are out the door. We can't keep up. We don't know what to do. I'm like.
So you got to get on the next flight.
No, I'm not getting on the next flight. I said, you want me to come there and make 1,000 pizzas? I'm not doing it. I love you, but I gave you a fair warning,
Right.
Everybody loves pizza. You open a new pizza joint, and everybody shows up.
Right.
And it's, to me, it's been a great, it's just been a great feeling to see people actually succeed, you know what I mean, and have that happen to them, you know what I mean, where they're like, wow. I mean, I got guys in Alaska, 4 stores.
Wow.
How about that?
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, that's just amazing, And this guy was a Harvard graduate heart doctor, and I was like, he
wanted to live off the grid and he wanted to bring the pizza with him.
Yeah, he's just loving it. You know what I mean? I was like, that's great. And, we hear a lot of these wild success stories and guys are just very, very successful. And they always, ask me, what's the secret to the success? I says, hey, you know what? You just got to be passionate. You got to love what you're doing, and I always tell guys, if you can, buy the building. Don't make the mistake I made.
So that's the
Buy the
secret sauce.
building.
You got to buy the building.
You buy the building, and then, buy another one and buy
rent.
another one and keep going.
It's better to pay the mortgage than the rent.
Yeah, you're always paying yourself down. You can always say, hey, I'm retiring, sell the business, and, and collect the rent for the rest of your life.
So with all these people who come here for the school, anybody ever talk to you about franchising, taking the name?
No, I did that years
Still
ago.
too difficult,
that was
right?
a very difficult thing to get involved in,
It's too much.
Yeah, that's a whole nother animal. That's, I think, a big corporate kind of huge money thing. And, I just feel like you got to be really I think the people who really want to do that now need to build their own brand first, you know what I mean, and have the controls and do all that. That's a whole nother business model. And boy, oh boy, that's a tough model.
Oh, yeah.
Especially today. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just not real. It's not mechanical. It's not like you're gonna have the dough ready and the sauce pre-done and all these things. You know what I mean? When you're making everything by scratch and cooking by hand, you have variables. So
absolutely,
it's hard to to transform that to people and say, okay, run with it.
Right.
It's been there, crazy.
For sure. So when you opened back in '92, like we said, a lot of word of mouth. You had the good PR stuff. That's how you built your base. But things have changed now, where social media is so important. So talk to me and Joe about how you decided to get active on social media and talk about these crazy viral videos with Ashley, Bree, and Dominique. We could bring Dominique in after to talk about that as well.
Yeah,
but it's been wild for you.
Yeah, social media is something we do in house. We just have, we'll just grab the girls. Hey, what do you got there? And
having fun.
And we're having fun. And I guess because the girls are really nice and they're young and they're pretty, which is always helpful. You get a lot of traction. You show some great food, you get a lot of traction, and some of them get over 1 million views.
It's crazy.
And actually, 1 million, 2 million, and I'm like, I don't understand the mechanics of it. And if you knew the secret, you'd probably be a zillionaire.
Right.
But, we don't monetize it or anything like that. We just put it out there, and people view them. You get 50,000 views, 100,000 views, 800,000 views.
Right. Has anybody ever come in and be like, I found this place through the social media?
Yeah. I had a guy come in the other day from Chicago. Believe it or not, he goes, he's like, I kept seeing it in my feed, and I was coming into New York, and I had to come in and have the pizza. I was like, wow, that's
out of his way to
cool.
Staten Island.
I was going to say, he's going to be in Manhattan for business, right? He's going to drive out all the way to Staten Island for pizza.
Yeah, and we get pizza. Yeah, best pizza, and we had a few few of the young guys come in looking for the girls. I thought it was really funny. and I put myself on here once in a while. It was pretty funny, and then I had a couple young girls like, "You're the guy from the Instagram," I'm like, great. "Hey, what do you got there?" And they laugh.
That's you should one night just walk around the restaurant, table to table. Hey, what do you got there?
Hey, what do you got there? I put them all on the gram. Make them all pumped up.
Yeah, you want to call Dominique over? We'll get her.
Yeah. Hey, Dom. Hey, Dana.
Get them on the camera. They can wave hello.
Somebody.
It's the beauty of live television.
Yeah, it is.
Live, not quite, but we'll discuss more with them when they come on the camera.
Yeah.
Dominique, we talked to her before, and she greeted us. She said she's really become quite the social media celebrity. Dominique.
Oh, yeah, social media butterfly. Another one.
Say hello. Joe, you want to give your headset for a second?
There you go. Say hello.
Dominique, go ahead and give your plugs for your social media. And how great is it to work for Scot?
Oh, it's awesome.
Oh,
we
man.
spent all day together.
Yeah. She's a lot of fun. She's pretty cool. They like the social media thing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a good place, you know what I mean? And I really appreciate them because they make it real, you know what I mean? It's you can't do everything yourselves, so
right.
You ask your employees, and they're like, all right, we'll get in there.
Dominique, so
what do you got there, Dom?
I got a vodka pie coming out soon.
All right.
We're gonna do it.
So Dominique, I said it. Give your social media handles, and you're looking for some brand sponsors and endorsements here.
There you go.
My Instagram is Dominique Noel with 2 E's at the end, and my TikTok is Silly Squirrel 6.
Wow, interesting.
And she sings too.
Oh, she sings. Dominique, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, Before He Cheats by Carrie Underwood. That one gets me going.
Oh, there you go.
All right, we like it. Well, thanks for dropping by, and I know Scott values you as an employee,
I'm
and you
his
do a great
favorite.
job. Oh,
Well, there you go.
oh,
But don't
all
tell
right.
everybody else.
Don't tell the others.
Too late.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tom. Thank
Dominique.
you. Thank you.
Can't wait for the pizza to come out.
Yeah, let's get a pie.
We're
Yeah,
back.
so,
We're back.
perfect time.
Holy moly. Talk about timing.
I'll tell you
Wow, look
something.
at this.
We need some plates. Let's
Look at
rock
this.
that, man.
This is it, the famous Vodka Pie. Unbelievable.
There you go, man. Thank you so
What great
much.
timing here. So,
You had that stage perfect, Tom.
Dominique was
Thank you,
ready for a
Dominique.
close-up.
She's not fooling around. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, that's how we rocked it. With the fresh mutts, the vodka sauce, little peas, a little prosciutto,
Yeah.
fresh mushrooms, and some nice 4-day aged
Oh,
dough
look at that.
cooked in the brick oven.
So
that rocks.
This, to me, seems like the perfect time to bring up a huge moment in the city's history.
Uh-oh.
And a huge moment for you as well. You know where I'm
no,
going
I
with
know where
this.
we're
So
I know what you're saying now.
the pizza pie was in the plate. Mayor
Yeah.
Bill DeBlasio came in here, and he didn't do what you're doing. Fork and knifed it.
He didn't do the fold. It was funny. I not to be political. You know how it is. We can be if we want to be. I didn't know much about the guy. He just got elected, and we've always had mayors come here, and our Peaches voted in the World Series, and la. So the mayor's office called, and the mayor wants to come down. I was like, whatever. I didn't follow much on politics. So he comes in. I'm like, whatever. Talking about what an average Joe he is, and, real New Yorker, and blah, blah, blah. And I love my pizza. And I'm like, whatever. Sit back, it's all good. And he starts fork and knife in the pizza, Right away he gets called out on it. Say, what kind of New York is a fork and knife eating pizza guy?
He ain't a real one. That's
Yeah,
for
Who
sure.
spotted him? We had the media with him?
Yeah, the media was all over it, man. And man, it was hysterical. So he's all choked up about it, la. Next thing you know, this is like totally viral.
All over the place.
It's all over the world. And I'm like, it's all over every news. It's Forkgate. All right? So I'm
the
like,
fork cut heard around the world.
yeah, a local councilman grabs the fork. He said, that's just the fork. And I was like, all right, we got it. You know what I mean? We got him now. So we take the fork, and I says, all right, let's raise some money for charity. So the money was raised for Tunnels and Tower. I believe at the time was $5,000 somebody bid on the fork.
Wow.
How about that?
So they were just being nice people in general. It wasn't about the fork. They didn't even want the fork, all right? So they said, keep the fork. I was like, great, So at the time, we were like, oh, my God, and the press is always all over you. They're just coming and trying to make digs. And I was like, look, I don't want to start anyways. People do what they do. You know what I mean? Leave the guy
that's
alone.
for the
I'm like,
comment.
yeah, I was like, I don't want to get into the comment. But we took the fork and we put it in a evidence bag, which an evidence bag.
Yeah.
And we put a little frame. And then we had there was a little politics going on. He disrespected the police. The police disrespected him at the time. So we put the cops with their back to him in the picture in the evidence bag.
That's great.
And people were like, oh, my God. I was like, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
And then we got a call. I guess they found out, the police came down, a couple detectives. They're like, oh, they asked us to take the evidence bag. And I was like, come on, I bought it on eBay. Leave me alone. You know what I mean?
Somebody made a call within the department.
Somebody made a call. You know what I mean? So,
That's great.
So we took that, and we had that up for a couple of years, but I didn't put it up over here. I was like, I'm not.
It's somewhere in the
It's like it's in the basement with all the other pictures and the archives. We got tons
There
of
we
funny
go.
stuff. So that was a really funny story. And it was worldwide. It was like on the Tonight Show.
Yeah, I mean,
It was.
He tended to go viral, whatever he did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like, oh my God,
Went viral for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not good, most of them.
So, Joe, I saw you devour your
Joe,
slice
what's going
already.
on here, man?
How does it compare to your vodka pie?
I mean, I
Let me
make
go
a
each
good
try
vodka
here.
sauce, but this is excellent. And so my personal thing is, believe it or not, as an Italian, I'm very selective when it comes to when I eat meat on pizzas and stuff. But the prosciutto and the leaves and everything, and I this is excellent. Truly, truly excellent.
Thank you.
I got to bring something home for my mother and my grandmother.
Yeah, well, we're gonna make a couple pies. Don't
All
worry
right.
about it.
Thank you.
We'll hook you up.
Thank
We're
you,
always
Scott.
hooking people up.
Much appreciated. Nick, how do you like it?
It's excellent. Joe, I never had your vodka pie, but I can't imagine it being even as good as this one.
Thanks, pal. Appreciate it.
Delicious.
He's throwing you under the bus for
We'll
2
see.
minutes.
We're going to get Joe behind the counter at some point.
All right.
And maybe Joe,
Hey,
Joe might be
napkin,
a future employee here.
Yeah, we're gonna
work in the front door.
Joe's guest pizza night. Watch for the podcast. We're gonna do it.
Not a bad idea.
There we go. There we go.
Why
So
not?
This obviously came out of the brick oven.
Yep.
And that's a big part of your business operations here.
Yeah.
New York Brick Oven Company. How did that launch?
Oh man, when you're in the business of working hard and selling pizza, you need some other revenues as well in life. To be honest, besides our pizza school, we years ago we started a brick oven business, and we started building brick ovens because it was a big trend, and so we just went out and got into that as well. So we also have brick ovens, revolving wood-fired gas ovens we built, which is really cool, which revolutionized, I think, part of the industry.
Yeah.
Made it really easy. And we built them all over the world as well. We have some of our students, like I said, from China, oven, Vietnam, oven, Jordan, oven, England, oven, and all over the country in every state as well. Yeah, except Hawaii. Just can't seem to nail Hawaii.
Hawaii is beautiful.
And
Very far away.
yeah. Well, we did them in Alaska. So
Yeah.
when we went to Alaska, I went to Alaska. I said, "Oh, we're going to Alaska. Let's go build an oven up there." So we went up to Alaska and built it. So I'm just waiting for Hawaii, so I can take a week there and build an oven.
Sure, yeah. To fly out. Perfect.
Yeah, I even did them at Margaritaville in the Bahamas.
Wow.
And Hilton's and other places as well.
So pretty much, like, if you go anywhere on vacation, you could go check in on one of your pizza guys.
Yeah, I know. We have one of our customers who's like, they travel the whole country, every state,
Yeah.
And that's like part of their lives. They just, every state, interesting places, every state in the country, and they're always calling us, "Do you have a student here?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're up in Michigan? Yeah, go to Picture Rocks. You're out in Idaho? Yeah, go see him." Yeah. So it's really cool, and they visit the students and check out the pizza.
All right, well, Joe, I'm sure you'll be back in Florida this year before it ends. So
Oh, yeah, we got a bunch of guys.
I'll send you out there.
We got a bunch of guys in
Where are the
Florida.
locations specifically?
Oh, man, there's one. Well, I don't know the exact addresses, but
Well, the city, Orlando.
Orlando, Bradenton.
Yeah.
Bradenton, and a whole bunch of them.
Joe's always in Orlando.
There you
so.
go.
I have one uncle in Tampa, one uncle in Orlando, and friends are closer to
And
Fort
we have
Lauderdale.
one in Clearwater too.
Clearwater.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It was funny. I didn't even know he was there. I was in Clearwater a couple months ago, and I was just walking around the grand opening place. I said, let's go in here and get a pizza. Sure enough, it's one of my students. I'm like,
That's
oh, my God.
amazing.
That's
It's like,
great.
that's so cool.
What are the chances?
Yeah.
No,
I know.
significant outreach.
Yeah.
And you're making a difference in people's lives.
I know. It's like, all
Getting
right.
businesses off the ground, and not only off the ground, but thriving businesses everywhere.
Yeah, they have like, the industry standard for restaurant success is like very low.
Yeah.
But our guys, it's like astronomical. It's like 10x compared to the industry standard. So I really think teaching people how to make great pizza, trying to advise them on keeping their concept simple and, what to do to be successful is it's huge. You know what I mean? It's tremendous. And,
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Yeah, don't overthink it, man. Just be great at what you do and give people what they love.
Right.
You know?
So you have the brick oven company. You mentioned the pizza school before.
Yeah.
So those two tied together, and let's also talk about the awards over the years. The International Pizza Expo, just a few awards. But
Yeah.
How good does that feel when you walked away with those awards?
It was pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like we go to the International Pizza Contest, and we've been doing this forever. And winning best gourmet pizza in the world
Yeah.
is a really cool title. Right now these competitions are fierce, and people come from all over the planet, and guys are really honed their skills these days.
Yeah.
It's not like 20 years ago when we would go and people would be like, "Oh, what kind of cheese is that? What's this?" Most people didn't know, what the gourmet segment meant, or
Right.
how to ferment dough, and all the different things that were involved in making great products. So, winning those awards were really great. They've always helped with the PR. They've always helped get you a lot of press and a lot of notoriety. It just feels good that you're accomplished in your field, and you can set an example for people. And one of our students just won this year best gourmet world champion.
Wow.
All right, and he's been trying at it for years, every year in Las Vegas.
Congratulations.
Competing. Yeah, Big Leo, down in Georgia.
Nice.
Down in Georgia, huh?
Yeah, man. So they're making
Goodfella
great
went down
pizza
to
in
Georgia.
Georgia. Yeah, right, exactly. And his business exploded, exponentially, because he got so much press, so much miles, and a great guy. Truly hardworking guy, and I never, anyone deserved it. It was him. He'd always place regional winner, like he placed regional winner.
Right.
And this year he took it. He
International,
cried,
yeah.
I cried. I was so happy for the guy. I was there with him. You know what I mean?
Nice.
We were like, me and Andrew, my partner.
I think we got to get to this expo one year, Joe.
The expo's great. You get like pizza nuts. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like everybody's so diversified.
And every pizza's got to have a different little wrinkle, right?
Yeah, everything is different. You know what I mean? Today it's like, and everyone's the best and everyone's this. And I'm always like, look, whatever floats your boat is the best. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has their preference.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You go to do deep dish and pan pizza, Detroit pizza.
I got to ask you a question.
Oh my goodness.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Listen, it's a definite no in New York.
Yeah.
That's right.
But I'm going to give you my but. It's like I tell my students. It's like, look, if pineapple pizza and ham sells where you are,
Hawaii.
freaking sell it.
That's
you know what I'm
right.
saying? What do you
Hawaii, when you go build the oven, we're going to
It's
bring
all about
pineapple
making
pizza.
Hawaii.
but pineapple pizza was created in Canada.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
That's
Hawaii.
not a surprise.
All right, pineapple. That's where you would think it came out of Hawaii, but it didn't. It started there, supposedly. This is what, fact check me, all right?
Yeah.
We will.
So, and our pizza, like I said, those gourmet pizzas sell in different segments, but each student, I tell them, look, your market might be different. They might love banana peppers. They might like pineapple. They might want bacon.
Right.
They might want ranch, which
Yeah.
is something in New York we don't do.
Exactly.
But you go out west, like people order ranch on
Everything.
the pizza.
Yeah.
It's like, can I have a ranch with my pizza? And I'm like,
Yeah.
or they'll say to you, hey, you want ranch? I'm like, what do I want ranch from eating a pizza?
All right.
Now,
How does your
hands off.
how does your amazing Nutella pie sell here?
Oh,
I've
Nutella's
seen that on
great.
the Instagram.
Yeah, and that one's
People
good.
go crazy for that.
Yeah, that's a nice dessert pizza. We make great dessert pizza. We do Nutella, strawberries, and all that stuff. We make it a little different than most places with ricotta, and we mix it all together. Lots of syrups, raspberry syrups, and chocolates and vanillas. We also do a famous hot apple pizza pie.
Oh, wow.
Which is an amazing dessert pizza. I think it's one of the best desserts ever.
Sounds like.
I got to turn you on to that, all right?
Listen, my mother loves apple pie. Maybe I'll bring an
Oh
apple
my
pie
God!
pizza home from her. Surprise her a little
It's crazy,
bit. Yeah.
with cinnamon, homemade cinnamon crumbs and
That
nutmeg
sounds really
and,
good.
and vanilla.
Joe, I think we got to have your
butter,
birthday party here. I don't know if they'll be open
Ice
but
cream.
for your
Right.
birthday, but
Yeah. What's it, 4th of July?
yes.
Yes.
Oh, my God. That's the greatest birthday ever.
Thank you.
That's my favorite holiday. I love the 4th of July.
I love that.
Tell them why we're a very American podcast here.
So the interesting thing is, again, at the top of the podcast, Nick mentioned that Everything Great was born in 1992.
There you go.
Was birthed in 1992. I was born in 1992. Nick was born in 1992.
There you go.
His birthday fell on Memorial Day in 1992.
Oh,
so
wow.
he's born on Memorial Day, and I'm
He's
born
4th
on
of July.
Wow,
So very
man.
patriotic.
Go America,
You
baby.
got the flag right here on the.
Yeah, that's
on the
right.
arm.
I always got my flags. I'm always a patriotic
Yes.
kind of a guy. I love the country. I even collect flags.
Very nice.
Believe it or not, I have like Civil War flags and old historic flags, and I always had a deep love for the country. 4th of July, my favorite holiday above
best.
any holiday. I'm like, it's just something about.
Yeah.
I think the greatness of the country is totally entwined
display.
in that day, and
Yeah.
that's when I think
It's a great
the world
holiday.
changed.
I'm wondering, Scott, for every holiday, is your family looking to you to bring the food and to cook?
Oh, my God, please, no. My wife is great. She always gives me a break. And we close basically 4th of July, Christmas, all our holidays.
Yeah.
We
It's the way it's
close.
supposed to be. It's not like
You know
that
what I'm
anymore.
saying? No, we have to close because we work very hard. And we need
You got to
people-
give the staff their
I need the
their
breaks.
rest.
Everybody needs to
Yeah.
enjoy their life. And it's not about, let's stay open and make $1. I'm like, for what,
But in here, it's like a family environment.
Yep.
You're in it with your family, your brother.
Yep.
You have an amazing staff here. So
Yep.
talk to everybody about just the great environment and chemistry here between the staff and the customers.
We have a lot. Yeah, we have customers for over 30-something years who still come here, first name basis. Like, you come on a weekend, you'll know 30 or 40 people
Wow.
for like 30 years, it's just unbelievable. You know what I mean? And they come in, and it was funny when we made the vodka pie years ago. They called it the Scotty Pie. So my brother named it, and I was like, "Man, you got to change that name. It's just just let me get a Scotty." I was like,
Nobody does know what that is.
"Yeah, it's just too funky." You know what I'm saying? And some people come in every blue moon. They'll say to the waiters, "Can I get a Scotty Pie?" And the waiter will come over. They want a Scotty Pie. What's that? I go, "Oh my God, they're old school. They're like from the '90s. So it's really cute, but. Again, we do have a lot of people, and we have generations. You know what I mean? It's like you see they've been coming in. Now they're coming in with their kids. And
Grandkids.
It's it's unbelievable, And we also do, it's funny, we do school trips where the kids make their own
Come
pizza.
here to pick the
Yeah,
pizza.
absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just sort of like it's almost an everyday thing during the school year, especially
Wow.
at the end. So we'll have 20, 50 kids in here. Teaching them about the history of pizza, Queen Margarita, yeast, flour,
Wow. Science
and,
project.
Yeah, in the morning we start our day, and I'm like, oh my God, here we go, and we've been doing that for over 30 years, and now I got people coming in with their kids, who said, you know what, this was my favorite school trip.
Well, I came here in 4th grade. And
Yeah,
now I'm
and
not with my
Pizza.
kids.
Yeah,
Right.
now I'm bringing my kid to it, and I'm
Made
like,
a mess
oh my
of
God,
myself. Now my kid's got to make a mess of himself.
yeah, and I'm like,
herself.
oh my God, But it's a nice, I don't know, it's just a nice little legacy. You know what I mean? I just feel like.
Listen, this place for years, all it did is give back to the community, and it still does,
Thank
even
you.
to today.
Yeah,
It's
we
amazing.
really tried, and but I really like that when I see the kids, and then we always welcome them back to make their own pizza anytime they like, which is sort of cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Definitely.
like you can remember that, and I'm always telling the parents like, hey, they're making their pizza, take a picture of that because that's a classic.
Absolutely.
You know what I
First
mean?
Pie.
Yeah, it's like the kid making your own pizza. It's like, hey, here I am. I made my
Exactly.
first pizza. I was like, there you go.
Yeah.
Sort of cool.
So, Scott, in your life, in your career, or in the history of Goodfellas, what has been the I'm right moment? What I mean by that, at a time or place where you wanted to pursue something, you asked somebody for advice. They said, Scott, what are you, crazy? That's not going to work out. Don't even try that. And you were like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. And in the end, you will see why it is that I'm right about this. And I can tell you I told you so.
There you go. Well, it was funny. When I was going to open up this pizza business, and I would talk to a couple of guys who I knew who were prior in the business.
Right.
And I had to we were getting ideas together. And they were like, and I said, we're going to open a brick oven place. We're just going to sell pizzas, no slices, none of that, orange stuff and grape stuff and whatever.
No
like
counter stuff.
Yeah, the counter stuff. And that's it, It's something really great. And they're like, no, that doesn't work. And you can't do that. You can't do this. And it was funny, And then my brother would come along and so-and-so said blah, blah, blah. And this guy said blah, blah, blah. So what? So one day we're sitting there looking at each other like, you start getting these doubts and this, that, and you start questioning your own integrity and your own dream. And you say, you know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to make a pact. And we're not going to ask anybody for any advice. And we're going to keep our own counsel. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do our own thing.
Yeah.
Because every time we start listening to somebody, we all start, spinning a little bit.
Having doubts.
And having doubts. So it's like, that's not how things get done in life. So you want to be right. You want to do it, and that's that was the moment. You know what I mean?
Goodfellas, I'm right.
I'm right, and we're going to make it right. And we did it. 30-something years in the industry, that's
33 years.
Yeah, it's quite an accomplishment. For any business, and it's about making it happen, and I'm going to try to keep it, for another 100 years.
That's right. For 33 years, Goodfellas has been a Staten Island staple, whether it was located closer to the hospital down Howland Boulevard or whether it's located here in Great Kills.
At the Woodrow Plaza location.
And the Woodrow Plaza
we had other
location.
locations too throughout the years, but this is
It's
it.
the main one.
Now
Yeah.
we're focused here. That's it. We're done. You know what I mean? One more and done. I was like, all right, let's make it happen.
But again, the secret sauce is owning the building. And again, there's beautiful bar space. There's the restaurant space in here. You got an area in the back. There is area to park to, which is also
That's
a little
key.
bit.
That's very
what I mean?
Parking is
Yeah,
huge.
Parking is key.
But Scott, we really thank you for this.
Oh, you're
this was
welcome.
a lot of fun.
My
we
pleasure.
hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for the pizza. What we do here is we always give our guests the last words. So if there's anything else you would personally like to share or promote for yourself, by all means, go ahead. One last thing. where can we find Goodfellas all across all platforms?
Oh, my goodness. Now I got to think that through. Huh? Hold on.
And also say when you're open and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Out of
we're
order.
at 4029 Highland Boulevard, Staten Island, New York. Our website is goodfellas.com.
It's been active since 1992. The website.
Yeah, I know. It's like amazing. I gotta update that website. All right, it's like it's another project. You know, we're on Facebook, the original Goodfellas, and Goodfellas, original Goodfella on Instagram as well. On TikTok, I'm not sure.
Dominique,
it's on my phone. I don't know. I just get so many little social handles.
Here she comes.
Yeah, no. They were asking me what my social handles were. I was like, I don't know. We're on TikTok. You know, what's the handle? I'm like, I don't know. Goodfellas. Pizza. You know.
Right.
And you know, that's how we get out there. You know, it's really cool. I really appreciate you guys. This is really fun, and I enjoy the conversation. Nice to reflect on business and talk about successful things and making things better for people and getting your visions. You know what I mean? And that's really cool.
Scott, this has been a lot of fun. It's been delicious as well, of course.
Yeah.
I know we'll both be back. I'll be back with my wife and son. Joe will be back with his next hot date.
Oh, yeah.
But Scott, I'll take care of you there.
I'll take care of you. I'll make you out. Walk in, you'll be like, there he is. Come on.
Just like,
Give him a
like in the
cocktail.
movies.
And by the way, he's making pizza. No.
yeah, that's a good idea. I'll come back in here. We'll make a
There you
pizza.
go.
A little,
Make the
I'm
pizza.
right. Pizza
Joe at the
making
front
thing.
desk.
Yeah.
Joe make
There
the
you go.
pizza. Perfect. But Scott, this has been great. Thank you for your time. Everybody come and support Goodfellas. Come eat here, take out, whatever you want to do. Book your next
come enjoy
party.
your night. Say hello.
Pizza school, brick oven. Scott's got it all. So that's going to do it for this episode of You Know I'm Right on food. For Scott, for Joe, I'm Nick. And this has been You Know I'm Right.
Yeah, brother.